I'm David Saville, and this is How to Unleash Greatness in Your Staff by Showing Them You Care. Now, you might be watching this thinking, showing them you care? What are you talking about? Bear with me, you'll see what I mean. If you walked into an environment in an office where the energy levels are high, people are buzzing, there's a certain energy in the whole office where stuff's happening, people are being creative, they're making huge sales, just things are going well and people are feeding off each other, and you've got that wonderful, exciting environment to be in. You know they're going to be performing towards the best of their ability. But then have you ever been in another environment where it's just quiet? It's almost like a dead environment. In fact, where I used to work, it was, you'd walk in and everyone was miserable. From Monday morning to Friday evening, they'd be miserable. It was like someone had died every day. It was really terrible place to be for that. And I can't believe I stayed as long as I did, but yeah, there you go. But it didn't need to be that way. What was missing, and what's missing in a lot of environments, is a true caring for staff, caring for each other. And this is not some airy-fairy thing I'm talking about here. This is a real thing that can make a huge difference to your company. See, the problem is when you've got energy like that, negative energy creates negative energy. So you get people come in, maybe they've got some stuff going on at home and they're low on energy anyway. And then they come in and nobody really seems to care about them. So then they get on with their job, but they're disgruntled. And that can lead to the person next to them. And it can create actually like a ripple effect of a negative vibe on the whole office. Now, what often happens is they get taken to one side. They ask them what's going on, they tell them to a point, and they just say, right, well, I understand what you're saying, but you need to do this, you've got to change it or else you'll be in trouble. Which doesn't change anything, because they don't feel cared for, they don't feel like you've actually listened to them. What they'll do is they'll go back out and then they'll probably start moaning about you. They'll probably start, the energy gets created that's even more negative, and that can have a real spiral. And the thing is, you can get someone who started off really enthusiastic, really good, but maybe they've got some personal stuff going on and they bring that into work because they're human beings and they don't necessarily know how not to do that, and then they become one of the worst employees. I saw this actually where I used to work a lot. You'd have these enthusiastic people, but the environment of work plus their personal life combined to create a really bad impact for them. And the way they handled it was just kept hitting them with a stick, which is not going to help. Now, instead of that, if you get people like their line managers, other members of staff who actually care about them, to take them to one side, to ask them what's really going on, and to offer to say, how can we help you? What can we do to make it better? That in itself, now sometimes you won't be able to do a lot, okay? If there's some working structures I don't like, that might just be the way it needs to be for now. But by listening to them, by really listening to them, asking them what's going on and showing them you care about them and you're on their side, that can make all the difference, because that can get rid of that negative energy, and then they can go back out and at least they know that they're part of something. And the thing is, when you've got an environment of work where people care about each other, it means that even if they've had tragedies happen outside, this can become a really wonderful place to be. They could come in and still have a high energy, still be able to perform to their best. And if you want your staff to unleash greatness in your staff, the environment and how they feel about their environment matters. And you create that from the interactions of the people there. So a good way to do this is to get your staff to make sure they're not just going through the motions. Make sure they actually listen, take the time to listen to staff, because it will reap dividends in the long run. Now, someone I know last year actually, he poo-pooed this idea. You shouldn't need to care about your staff. You just get on with it. That same guy had what he called a nervous breakdown, was signed off work. Why? Because he hated the job. The energy he was carrying every day was becoming more and more burdensome. Now, if someone had taken him to one side and found out what was going on for him, what he didn't like, maybe they could have made his job a little bit better, or he could have decided, you know what, I'm going to go elsewhere. But having someone to listen to you and to care about you as a staff member matters. And if that's your staff and you care about your team, you will get so much more out of them. That caring generates loyalty, generates respect, generates a willingness to do their best for you. Even if they don't like the company structure, if you're their line manager and they think you care about them, that you will get the best out of them that you possibly can. And that can only do well for you, for the company as a whole. So unleash greatness in your staff by showing them that you really care and not just going through the motions. Now, if you'd like some support in how to do that or some ideas of how you can actually train your staff to be better at this, then you can find me at david@davidsaville.co.uk, and that's Saville. Take care for now.